Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hello and welcome to another episode of A Day Late and a Dollar Short. My name is Palladium Moores and I'll be your host for the day, and our game of the day is Final Fantasy VI. Now, the quick and the dirty, 9.5 out of 10. This game is beautiful for the time it came out, features great combat with a good enhancement system for it, and the Espers, great overall storyline, and a unique cast of diverse characters, and I messed up on unique again. The only thing that has going against it is some storyline issues, a few minor glitches, and a bad ending. Sounds familiar? Well, it probably should. Alright, if that's all you were here for, then take it easy. Thank you for joining me. Now, for the rest of you, buckle up and let's get this show on the road. First off, I'll talk about the graphics. The graphics for the time were beautiful. They were clean, they were crisp, they were clear. Now, I personally prefer the more cartoony graphics of Super Mario RPG and Lufia 2, but this still did a fantastic job with it. Now, what you're seeing here isn't from the original Super NES version. This is from the PlayStation 1 remake that they brought out. Not remake, sorry, remaster, I guess I should say. I prefer the Game Boy Advance version personally because it actually added stuff, but that's just me. Alright, so yeah, good graphics. Sound, the sound. I can still hear the overworld theme. It's so beautiful. It really is a great soundtrack with a lot of unique songs. I couldn't think of the word songs. I just paused for like 5 seconds as my brain couldn't keep up with itself. Oh, good lord. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, no, and then it culminates in Dancing Mad. And that is an absolutely amazing final boss song. That might be that One-Winged Angel. It's so close. They're both so great. Moving on to combat. Combat is really good. Combat was a step up from Final Fantasy V. Now, from Final Fantasy V to 6, they did away with the job system, and instead implemented Espers, which allowed anyone to learn any magic they want. Espers also affected your stat growth, and it was really well done. If you wanted someone to be physically strong, you stuck something that gave... Back then, by the way, the translation was hyper, but it was strength, essentially. And then if you wanted someone to increase in magic, you went with that, and it worked. It worked. You could make them into whatever sort of powerhouse you wanted them to be. And in fact, if you really wanted to focus people, you sort of had to do that, because characters in this game did not gain stats as they leveled up, which I always thought was interesting. They have a baseline of stats, and those don't move. But your attack and defense does go up as you level up. And excuse me, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm so gassy. So yeah, and then each character has their own unique skills and abilities in combat that only they can use. Question mark? And I'll go over that particular character later. Now, as for characters, as I said before, this is a unique and diverse cast of characters who all have a lot of stories going on for them. Now, some of them aren't covered as well as others. Shadow gets covered a lot in stories, but for the most part, he's just your typical stealth ninja assassin. But everyone else more or less gets enough screen time. I say that, but the grandpa, why can't I remember his name? Magical Grandpa doesn't get a lot of story. But his story and Realm, his granddaughter's story, are wrapped in with other characters, which I won't tell you for spoilers, just in case. But anyway, yeah, I'll go over the cons with that later, but for the moment I'll leave that there. But there is one character that you get in an interesting way that I found the first time by accident. And that's by being eaten by an enemy. And the first time I happened upon this enemy, this world eater, I accidentally died, quote-unquote, to it. And then it swallowed me. Which is the most interesting way, I think, ever to acquire a hidden character. But this character can use everyone else's abilities, which was interesting. I mean, we'd had mimes before. I think Final Fantasy V had mimes. But this one was just flat out. He could do whatever anyone else could do. And it was pretty cool. Then you've got Gao, who can hop on the back of monsters and then do what monsters do. He was the blue mage of this game, and it's pretty cool. Anyway, like I said, unique, diverse cast, a lot of good characters. Now, one thing I missed with combat, and I'll cover here, is that this is actually the first Final Fantasy to feature limit breaks. Each character has their own unique limit break that they can only do once they are low on life. Once you're in the yellow and kneeling, if you do an attack, then the lower your health is, the higher the percentage chance you have to do your limit break. Personally, I'm not a fan of those systems. I wasn't a fan of them here or in Final Fantasy VIII. Especially here, since everyone can learn Cure, and your limit break, it doesn't pop up like it does in 8. It's like, oh, well, my limit break's here, I'll do it. But it is interesting to know that this is where they started. Cool. Alright, moving on. Sound. I already covered sound, didn't I? Wow, I'm just messing this up. I'm going to bowl forward, though, because why not? It's story. The story is great. The story is fairly stereotypical in that it covers the typical. Oh my god, I'm just screwing this one up. Screw it. Going on. Your typical rebel group going against the evil empire, but it features a lot of interesting and quirky characters. This game gave us one of the best bad guys in an RPG in Kefka. Now, I do think he's been made a bit too silly in other forms of media because he's a serious threat here, and you never see this jester side that people always laud about. So I do think he has been changed into something he wasn't intended to be originally. But he really is a fantastic villain. Emperor Gestal, he's a great villain too. Leo's one of my favorite good guys slash bad guys in a game because he's great. You love Leo, but he's not on your side. And it kind of sucks. Yeah, no, good story, but there are issues with the story which I'll cover in the cons right now. And that's that when you don't have scenes where you have set characters, the dialogue tends to flag a bit because they give those non-set characters some rather generic dialogue which doesn't really reflect upon their personalities. This doesn't show up too much in the first half of the game because for the most part you always have set people, but the second half of the game, after you get to the airship, it becomes kind of an issue. But the story does keep going and it's still fairly strong. But the biggest flaw this game has, in my personal opinion, is the ending. The ending's just... I like the way it showcases each of the characters before they escape their predicament, but it just leaves way too much to the imagination past the actual escape. Especially when you consider the kind of condition the planet is in post-Kefka. And that's about it. Yeah. Alright. That's all I got for this one, guys. As I said, 9.5 out of 10. Great game. If you've not played it and you're a fan of RPGs, you deserve it. You deserve good things. So go back and play this and enjoy yourself because it was fantastic. Oh, sorry. I just had a cat try to nuzzle me and she missed with flying colors and then hit the mouse. All right. Thank you guys very much for joining me. I do appreciate it. I promise in my next video I'll actually be able to speak English and not stagger all over myself. If you liked it, please feel free to poke the like button. If you'd like to see more, well, that's what the sub button's there for, and I'd appreciate it greatly. And with that, I will be seeing you.